So the last one for 2.1, I went back and did a little more research, and the most common one, which I can't believe I didn't think of, was even and odd. Like you can use modulo to actually determine if a value is even or odd. And there's just, and again, I hope you got some good information when you searched or did those prompts and got that back. But it is amazing. I mean, I looked through my list: hashing, cryptography, generating patterns, looping through, finding the nth operation, determining even odd, like I said, cycling through a sequence. I mean, there's just many ways you may not think of until you've been doing more programming. And so it was great to review those. Okay, so let's move on to our last one, which is, and we've already been using the assignment, but also doing a comparison as well, because sometimes this can get really confusing for students who are new to programming, as they see the equals and they think, well, that generally means is one thing equal to the other. But in JavaScript, that is it assigns, it's an assignment. Okay, it assigns that, but we're going to hopefully help you understand this when you see code like this going forward. Okay, I already have everything set up. Go ahead and include in your file the comment, and then I also included the console log. Okay. All right, so for this one, well, what we're going to do, and again, we could talk about, is this the best variable names? We don't understand the context of the code, but we're going to go ahead and let it be good that we say let total coins equal 20. Okay. Now in this case, we see camel case, lower, start with the lowercase on the first word, uppercase the second word. So we have camel case. We're saying let, so we know later we could determine total coins could be something else. Actually, we'll see that not for total coins, but the idea in the next example here. So this just sets this variable to be 20. Okay, but there's another way, so that's just the assignment. That's what the assignment does. But we can also do this. Fairly common in JavaScript to see this. You could say plus equals, okay, 5. And that would be like, what does plus equal do, right? And so now let's actually console log, right? Total coins after plus equal, and again, this is just string content, right? After plus equal 5 would be, in this case, we're going to inject that variable, okay, of total coins, okay, semicolon. Okay, come back over here. Okay, is that right? Yeah, my spacing looks a little off, but okay. No, it is right. So it is total coins after plus equal 5. So we start with 20, and actually I didn't output those, so I probably could have here, right? So we start with 20. We do say we take, and actually this is where the comments can be really helpful. So let's actually go grab them first. Let's go here. This is the so this is the assignment. This just assigns it. Okay. Yeah, actually that was actually meant for just for the heading for this one. And so this is the, oh, makes me mad. Okay, the assignment operator, okay, which in this case does something different, right? So just by putting the plus before the equal is really what it's doing, and that's what I love about what this, actually it should be the addition assignment operator, because that's what this is, okay? Really what this is doing when you're running this line, and I'm going to go ahead and include it here, right? This is the, right? And actually we'll do it here. Is it's really adding 5 to the total coins. So it's really, if you were to write it out long form, it'd be total coins equal to whatever the total coins was to start with, which have been 20 by doing the assignment, and then adding 5 to it. It's just a shorthand way, and a very common way we see in JavaScript, to take a value and then add a certain value to it using the addition assignment operator. Okay, I'll clean those comments up. So now, let's actually now take that kind of to another step by understanding comparison operators. So now let's actually write some more code, right? So now let's do let's do value A equal to 5. Let value B equal to 5. So if we were looking at the data type, this is a number and this is a string. Okay? So when we want to understand what data type is in there and how we can react to that, right? And also understand this idea of comparison. How do we compare these two? So in this case, we could write some console.log. Okay. I'm going to grab that so I don't have to do it so many times. We're going to say, actually, let's do it over here. So now, this is something you hear in JavaScript. It's strict, okay? And often you may hear strictly, but strictly equal. Strict equality is, you can hear strictly equal or strict equality. And what this is when you see 3 equals, okay? So this is what you may think of if you've never done any programming, because you've seen that. So is value A, okay, let's just put in some more so that when we look at this, because this is so important to understand. So, and so is it equal, strictly equal to value B? Remember, this is just the string. Now we're going to do it where actually it does, and then we're going to say is. And now this is where we're actually going to write the code that will give us the result of doing a is one thing equal to the other. So if we say if value A strictly equal to value B. Okay, so just look at this. I know it's a lot of code when you're first starting, but this part of it is just outputting some content that's going to help you understand what this part is actually. This is the part that is the JavaScript that's actually saying is A, which is 5, strictly equal. And strictly equal means not only, right, is its value the same, but its data type is the same. And in JavaScript, this can get a little, people say weird because it does something called coercion. Don't worry about it as today, but let's actually go look at this, okay? So strictly equal, triple equal, right? 5 equal to 5. Now in this case, let's see. Right, it didn't even output on the console that one was a string, right? So that makes it a little hard, but it's false. It's not. So 5, the numeric value, the number of the data type value, and 5, the string, is not equal. But there's another comparison, so let's actually copy this line, do it again. But this time we're going to say loose, okay? So loose. And we show this here, but we generally say don't use it because of exactly what you're about to see. Oh, I put 4 there. No wonder that didn't make sense, okay? Actually, that's just content, so it doesn't matter as well. So in this case, if we say is, if it's loosely, right, we're saying is its value, right, or what it resolves to, what JavaScript, when it reads that value of that variable, when it evaluates it, is it loosely equal if they, okay, and let's actually just go look at it, right, so let's actually go here. So it's true, because what JavaScript does is it says, oh, you know what? If you're asking if it's, yep, 2. Oh, no wonder. Okay. It's saying, is the numeric 5 equal to the string 5? Meaning they could be different data types, and if they are, I'm actually, meaning JavaScript's going to say, you know what? I'm going to help you because I'm assuming what you want it to do is actually be a number of values, so I'm going to coerce it. I'm going to make it by you asking, is it just loosely equal? And again, this is why we generally don't recommend writing it this way. But you may see it and it may be something you run into when you're coding. Okay, so let's do this again, but this time, and this is another way we can say strict, not equal. Okay, so in this case, we add the not. So when we do the exclamation point, unlike what we did, exclamation mark, unlike what we did when we told HTML to be our editor to create that, this is actually an operator, okay, a comparison operator in JavaScript that says, is it strict not equality? Okay, so let's do the same thing. So now let's go look at the value, right? Strict not. So it's true, right? It's not, it's strictly not equal. One is strictly, meaning I'm going to look at, it's just the reverse of this, okay? But it's not equal, right? So this is actually true, where it says strictly equal 5, right? Is not equal to the numeric, but is it not equal? Yeah, we know they're not, so in that case it resolves to true. And what I really want you to understand about all this, and we'll write one last one, is when JavaScript actually runs, and let me grab just this part of it, what it's doing, it's evaluating, and let's actually get rid of this, because what I want you to know, and this is really helpful, and notice how on the console, it's actually telling you, right, here, because sometimes you could write this console log to look at what's on the console, but you can also just go to the console, type in or copy in the two things you're trying to do. But what's important is to understand when JavaScript looks at this expression, it evaluates to true. Okay? And so it's true. They are not strictly not, they're strictly not, there's no equality. I know it's kind of a mouthful to say. But if I do that, there's strict equality. No, but they're not equal. That's true. So just, play around with this concept. Know that you may see this in code. Understand the difference between strict equality and strict not equality. Don't use loose equality. It just will maybe mess you up. So let's do one last one and then we'll wrap up for this one. Because the other thing you can often do, and I'm actually going to write this one because it's not exactly the same. It's kind of the same, but greater than. And in my prompts, I'll have you do a little more research here. Okay. Let's do, okay. So in this case, let's say value A. Again, we're just building up the string, right? Is it greater than 3? Now, this operates as your traditional math as you've learned it, right? So is whatever in this value A, is it greater than 3, right? And we know it's true. We know that that is actually true. So is, and now we can actually build the output, actually run the expression so that you can see it is value A, right? Greater than 3. There we go. Did I use semicolon over everybody? I did. Good. Okay, let's actually go look at the output and see if we need to include any other content. Uh-oh, I got rid of accidentally my console. So let's refresh here. Oh, what happened to my... Oh, wow. Something happened to my last line. I must have accidentally, hold on, I'll bring it back. By the way, that's a really good moment to understand that if that happens to you, because I had evidently gotten rid of it, you can always do the undo or the redo. Okay, so I can either undo if I accidentally got rid of something, I can undo it, or if I wanted to, undo it a couple steps and then maybe redo it, I could do that as well. So let's look at this last one. Right, so 5 is greater than 3. We know that this is true. And so if we were to say here, right, so 7, right, again, you don't have to do this, right? So we know that's false. So these are comparison. There's others out there. Definitely you're going to research some. We're just giving you an introduction to the basic ones, right? But these are your, and did we put this in here? Oh, no, we got to put our comments in. Let's finish with that, right? Our comparison operators. Let's do this. Oh, that may be what happened. Oh, okay, maybe that's what happened. Okay, comparison operators. All right, so let's look at the last thing you need to do before you're done, and then we'll talk about, we'll talk about how to submit, okay? Okay, let's go back here. Oh, what happened to my... Hold on, where'd it go? Okay, that was fun. My whole system got logged out of everything. Not sure why. Okay, so completing this section, here's the prompts I want you to do some research, right? Explaining the difference between the assignment operator that we've talked about today and the compound. They call it the compound assignment operator. Actually, I thought that was addition, but compound, I guess, is another way to say that. And then describe the critical distinctions between strictly equal and strictly not equal, and the loose, right? So that you, if you hold, and again, the standard is use strictly equal or strictly not equal. And then learn more about the various comparison operators, understanding that they evaluate, when you do a comparison, it evaluates the true or false. That is also true of these equals, so we could do the same concept I showed you before. Even my live server got dropped. Okay, so you could do the same thing. Come back here. Like if we were to say here, right? So if we were to take this and say, is this equal? You could still come down to the console, and it would, because what JavaScript does, and this is what I'm trying to explain, is that when you run this, when JavaScript evaluates this expression, it resolves, meaning what is the end result is that that's false. That's a Boolean value, and that's also true of all the comparison as well. And I want you to know more about that, right? And then and this is the potential pitfalls of using loosely equal. So I've been trying to say that here, generally recommended. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do my last commit, as you should. I think I'm actually almost ready. Okay, so now, boom, you've done your, now you can do your git push. Okay, so now that pushes all your code. Again, you don't have to wait till the end. It depends on how confident I am on my my connection, that I may or may not do that. So now what I would do is go to my repo, my public repo, and this is really key because I want you to first understand all the work that you've done is in your commits, and those commits indicate the code that you've done. So what you would do here is when you're looking at your W2 folder, and this is really important, then you come over to your history tab, your history icon right now, okay? And so in that history icon, I will be able to see, and you will be able to see, in this case, all 4 commits that you've done. Now you might, but let's just submit and then end with a few comments about what happens if. But let's take this URL, okay? Remember, you get points for just giving me the correct URL here, and then you could paste that there, and then that's how you would submit your assignment. And when I look at it, that's what I look for, right? Your commit history, your 10 points is just giving me the right URL. Did you have working code? So if your code doesn't work, but I see commits in the associated code, but you have an error, you still get points off. But to get all the points, that's what you want to do. Now, one thing here is if for some reason you were looking at your commits, because you could actually come in here, right, and look at, oh yeah, here's all the code I did for that. And if for some reason you forgot a line, right, you could do another commit and just tell me fixing issues. And in that case, it's fine. Try not to. I mean, it makes it just a little more clear for me. I notice I'm inconsistent in my upper lowercase here. I'll fix that going forward. But in this case, if you forgot something, let's say on that last one, then you could go in and include that and just give me a message saying fixed something I missed. Now there's other things you could do if for some reason you needed to back all the way out, but I'm not going to cover those today because this is our first colon. Congratulations getting to it. Talk to you later.